Good morning, students. As I've started the digestion and absorption in the previous class, so I'm going to start with the digestion of food. So, in under that digestion of the food, I have explained how the digestion of the food, where it is going to take place with the two method, that is by mechanical method and the chemical method. So when you take the food, so that food when it enters inside your mouth, so the mechanical process of the digestion is also going to take place, and meanwhile the chemical digestion of the food is also going to takes place. But in your mouth, in your buccal cavity, the chemical digestion of the food is going to take place with the help of the enzyme which is present inside the saliva, that is called as salivary amylase. So that food in the buccal cavity or the oral cavity, what the food is being formed with the help of the saliva, with where the saliva is having the mucus, so that is called as the bolus. So that bolus from buccal cavity, it enters inside the pharynx, and when it enters inside the pharynx from the buccal cavity, that process we call, that step we call it as a deglutition, or we also call it as a swallowing. Then that bolus from pharynx, it is going to move across the length of the esophagus, and from there the esophagus, the bolus is going to enter from the esophagus to the stomach. So inside the stomach, with the help of the muscular movements, where the bolus, the food is being made to mix with the gastric juice which are being secreted from the gastric glands. So when the bolus or the food is going to mix with the gastric juice, that we call it as the chyme. So in that chyme, whatever the proteins will be present, so that proteins will be partially digested with the help of an enzyme called as pepsin. But you all know that, as I have told it in the previous class also, so the proteolytic enzyme which is present inside our stomach, that is active pepsin. But that active pepsin, it will be always in the inactive form. So the inactive form of proteolytic enzyme is called pepsinogen. So this inactive pepsinogen is made as activated with the help of the HCl, which is being secreted from the gastric cell which are present inside the gastric gland, called as the oxyntic or parietal cells. Okay, so when this inactive pepsinogen becomes the active pepsin, so that active pepsin is going to help in the digestion of the proteins, but not complete digestion of the proteins, only the partial digestion. Because when the proteins are being broken down, so that proteins end product, the last end product is amino acids. But here what the protein digestion is going to take place inside the stomach, so that is not going to form the end product as the amino acid. Instead of amino acid, the product which is being formed during the partial digestion of the proteins, they are called as proteins, or they are called as proteoses, or they are also called as peptones. Why here the peptones, or they are also called as peptides? Why they have been named with the peptides? Because the amino acids are considered to be as building blocks for the proteins. Okay, why? Because the proteins are considered that as the building blocks, means to construct the protein, what they require the amino acid. Here the chain of amino acid will be present in a protein, so each amino acid will be linked to one or the next amino acid with the help of the peptide bond. So how many peptide bonds will be present. If 5 peptide bonds are present, then we call that protein even as a pentapeptide. If 2 are present, then we call it as dipeptide. If 3 are present, then they are called as tripeptides. If more than 2, generally we call them as polypeptides. So proteins are also called as polypeptides. So here, when the proteins, the polypeptides are being broken down partially, so they are going to form the end product with the help of the active pepsin inside the stomach, that is called as peptides. Okay. And then in the previous class I even told that so from the stomach the food is being moved to the next to the small intestine. So the small intestine is having a lateral connection. What is that lateral connection? That lateral connection is with the liver and pancreas. So the liver is having the duct, that is hepatic duct. Pancreas is having a pancreatic duct. Okay, so these two ducts commonly they are going to combine each other and forms the hepatopancreatic duct. So this hepatopancreatic duct is going to open inside the duodenum. So here you can observe the hepatic duct is going to bring bile juice, pancreatic duct is going to bring the pancreatic juice, and these two are going to be poured inside the small intestine only at the first part of the small intestine, that is the duodenum. So in the duodenum, the intestinal, as it is the part of the intestine, the duodenum, the inner layer of the intestine is mucosa. So that mucosa is made up of the epithelium tissue. So that epithelium tissue is going to secrete the product, and that product is called as intestinal juice. So that intestinal juice is consisting of the enzyme that is called as enterokinase. Okay, then with respect to the bile juice and the pancreatic juice, so no any enzymes are present in the bile juice, but inside the pancreatic juice there are presence of the pancreatic enzymes. How many pancreatic enzymes are present? 6 pancreatic enzymes are present, but all those 6 pancreatic enzymes are in the inactivated form, so they cannot be used for the process of digestion. Okay, so here when they cannot be used for the process of digestion, so to involve for the process of digestion, it has to be made as activated. So to activate, here the activation of the pancreatic enzyme is being done by the enzyme which is present in the intestinal juice, that is called as enterokinase. But this enterokinase is not going to activate all the 6 enzymes. It is going to activate only one enzyme, that is called the trypsinogen. So on exposure to the enterokinase, trypsinogen becomes active trypsin. When the inactivated trypsinogen becomes active trypsin, all the remaining 5 pancreatic enzymes are going to get activated. Okay, so now these enzymes are used for the digestion of the food. Okay, so here next, in case of this is with respect to the pancreatic enzymes. Okay, so next is this intestinal mucosal epithelium, where the epithelium of the mucosa layer of the intestine, it is consisting of the goblet cells. So those goblet cells are going to secrete the mucus. The secretion of the mucus, that is the secretion from the goblet cell and the secretion from the brush border cells of the mucosa. Brush border cells of the mucosa means the mucosa is going to form the modification that is called finger like projection called villi. So the villi is being made as brush border with the help of microvilli. So that microvilli secretion as well as the goblet cell secretion together, it is called as a succus entericus. So this succus entericus is consisting of the enzymes like disaccharidases, dipeptidases, lipases and nucleosidases. Okay, so this I've told it in the previous class. And one more thing, the mucus which is along with the bicarbonates from the pancreas, it is going to protect the intestinal mucosa from the acid as well as provides the alkaline medium. Alkaline medium means it is going to help in the maintenance of the pH. Why? Because this alkaline medium of the intestine, it is going to help for the enzymatic activation which is going to take place inside the submucosal glands. Okay, so now you all the enzymes which are present inside the duodenum are being activated. Okay, so here next, now you will come to know how these enzymes are going to help in the digestion of food. So totally now how many enzymes? That is 6 enzymes from the pancreatic juice, and the other what I'm in this slide you can observe disaccharidases, dipeptidases, lipases and nucleosidases. These also 4 enzymes which are present in the succus entericus. Succus entericus means it is the secretion of the brush border cells of the mucosa of the intestine and even the secretion of the goblet cell. Together it is called as the succus entericus. So I said that is the pancreatic enzymes will be always in the inactive condition. Okay, so they are being made as activated. When they are being made as activated, what is the use of those enzymes? So those enzymes, what is the use of those enzymes? Now you will come to know. Okay, so the chemical digestion inside your duodenum, jejunum, what the chemical digestion is going to take place. So that chemical digestion is going to take place with the 10 steps. In that 10 steps, the first step is the breakdown of proteins, peptones and proteases. So proteins means the food which is present, the proteins, what the food you have taken, so that food will be consisting of the proteins also. So that protein which are not being digested inside your stomach, so that will be sent to the duodenum. Okay, peptones and proteases means they are the products which are coming from the stomach. So those peptones, proteases and proteins, these 3 are being chemically broken down by the pancreatic enzymes which are present in the pancreatic juice. So what are the pancreatic enzymes? There are 6 pancreatic enzymes, but among those 6 only 3 are being used for the breakdown of proteins, peptones and proteases. What are those enzymes which are helping for the breakdown of proteins, peptones and proteases? They are trypsin, chymotrypsin and carboxypeptidase. So here I have not mentioned chymotrypsinogen, trypsinogen, procarboxypeptidases. Why I have not mentioned these names? Because these names, trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, they are the inactivated forms of the pancreatic enzymes. So whatever here I have mentioned in the reaction above the arrow mark and the below the arrow marks, they are the activated form of pancreatic enzymes. So proteins, peptones and proteases are chemically being broken down with the help of the pancreatic enzyme, that is trypsin, chymotrypsin and carboxypeptidase. So here where the protein peptones proteoses are being broken down with the help of trypsin, chymotrypsin and carboxypeptidase, they are being broken down inside the small intestine only at the duodenum. So this is very important. Why? Why the duodenum? Because the pancreatic enzymes, pancreatic juice, the bile juice, they are first reaching the duodenum. So the breakdown of the protein is going to take place inside the duodenum only. Okay, so here the proteins are made up of the simple molecules called as amino acid. So those amino acids are brought together, one amino acid, second one, they are going to link together and going to form the peptides. So one peptide, the another peptide, together they are going to form the dipeptides. Dipeptide, then they are going to form the polypeptides. Okay, so here when the proteins are being broken down, they should be simple molecules. It should, the end product after the breakdown of the proteins, the end products should be amino acid. Why it should be amino acid? Because our body cells, to gain the energy, to take the energy, that food substances should be in the simple form. If they are in the larger form, our cells cannot take the energy from those food molecules. So that's why these proteins are being has to be broken down to the completely, it should be the simple form. But here in the duodenum, what is going to happen is the proteins, peptones, proteoses, when they are being broken down, it is going to form, it is going to give the product as dipeptides. Means why here dipeptides? Because these dipeptides are completely, they are not the simple form of the proteins. And why the product in this first step of the chemical digestion, which is going to take place inside the duodenum, so why the end product is dipeptide after the breakdown of the proteins? Because remember, the proteins are also called as polypeptides. Why called as polypeptides? Because to construct the protein, they require the amino acid, one amino acid, second amino acid, third amino acid, fourth amino acid. All these amino acids will be linked together. How they are linked? They are linked to each other with the help of the peptide bond. So that peptide bonds, if the only one peptide bond is there, then they are called as peptides. If more than one are there, if there are two dipeptide, if more than two are there, then we call it as a polypeptide. So here the proteins are made up of the chains of amino acid. So when these proteins are being broken down, it is going to give the end product as dipeptides. Okay, so the next one is, so when you take the food, that food will be consisting of proteins also, carbohydrates also, fatty acids also, and the nucleic acids also. Okay, so now you have understood the food, what is made up of proteins. So that proteins are being digested partially inside your stomach, then that partially digested proteins, and some where the proteins are not being partially digested, all together they will be coming to the duodenum. So when they come to the duodenum, with the help of pancreatic enzymes, those are being formed as those are being broken down as the dipeptides. This is with respect to the proteins. Our food will be even consisting of the carbohydrates also. So here the carbohydrates are also called as polysaccharides. Why polysaccharides? Because each polysaccharide will be made up of a monomer, will be made up of a monosaccharides. Okay, so here to break the polysaccharide, which enzyme, which pancreatic enzyme is going to help? That is the amylase. So when the starch is being broken down inside the duodenum, where the starch is, the polysaccharide, even it is going to give the product as disaccharides. Okay, so here you can observe in the first and second step, that is dipeptides, disaccharides. They are not the complete end products of macromolecules. If you still simplify the dipeptides and disaccharides, we are going to get the simple end products which are very easily absorbable by our cells to gain the energy. Okay, so to break the proteins, the pancreatic enzymes which are helping in the duodenum is trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidase. To break carbohydrates inside the duodenum, which pancreatic enzyme is helping means it is a amylase. What is the end product? It is the disaccharide. Don't get confused. To break the starch inside your buccal cavity or oral cavity, which enzyme is helping means remember it is salivary amylase which is present in the saliva. So here in the duodenum, to break the polysaccharide, which enzyme is helping? That is the amylase. Where it will be present? Who is going to secrete it? That is being secreted from the pancreatic juice. Okay, next is the fats. So here the fats, they are being broken down. As you all know, the fats, that is the breakdown of the fat, that is the emulsification of the fat, is being done by, actually it is being done by even the bile juice also. But along with the bile juice, as this bile juice is going to even activate the pancreatic enzyme that is called the lipase. So here this lipase is going to help in the breakdown of the fats. Okay, so when the fats are being broken down, as the products are coming as diglycerides as well as the monoglycerides. So here diglycerides and the monoglycerides are not completely the simple forms of the fat molecules. Okay, so because of that, the fats which are being broken down, the product which comes in the duodenum is diglycerides and the monoglycerides. So next, your food, if it is consisting of the nucleic acids, so that nucleic acids is being broken down by the enzyme, pancreatic enzyme, where the breakdown of nucleic acid is going to take place inside the duodenum, and the products are nucleotides and the nucleosides. Okay, so here whatever the products are being formed inside the duodenum, what are the products formed inside the duodenum? The products, that is dipeptides, disaccharides, diglycerides, monoglycerides, nucleotides and nucleosides. All these are not in the simple absorbable forms. So then that's why all these products which are being formed inside the duodenum will be now sent to the jejunum and the ileum. So in the jejunum and ileum, what is going to happen is, so here this jejunum and ileum, whatever the product they have received from the duodenum, so to break those products and to make them simple and absorbable, so here they are going to take the enzymes from the Succus entericus. So that Succus entericus is consisting of the enzymes called dipeptidases, maltase, sucrase, lactase, nucleotides, nucleosides and the lipases. So here dipeptidases, it is the enzyme which is helping to break the dipeptides. From where these dipeptides have come? The dipeptides have come from the duodenum, where the duodenum, with the help of pancreatic enzymes, the proteins are being broken down and the product what came, it as a dipeptide. So still it is not in the simple form. So to make it completely simple and absorbable, so that dipeptides are being broken down by the enzyme called as dipeptidases. So where the dipeptidase enzyme is present, the dipeptidase enzyme is present in the Succus entericus. What is the Succus entericus? Succus entericus is the secretion of the goblet cell and the secretion of the brush border cells of the mucosal epithelium. Okay, so that Succus entericus, even it is consisting of the enzyme called as a disaccharidases. Disaccharidases, there are example under the disaccharidases, that is maltase, sucrase and lactase. So here, with the help of maltase, when the maltose is being broken down, that it is going to give the products as glucose and sorry both it, when the maltose is being broken down, it is going to give the simple and absorbable form, that is as the two molecules of glucose. Okay, so the next, if your food is consisting of the sucrose, then that sucrose is being broken down with the help of an enzyme called as sucrase. It is going to give the one molecule of glucose and one more as the fructose. So here fructose is nothing but it is also called as the fruit sugar. Then the next, if the food is consisting of the lactose, so lactose means it is the milk sugar, so that lactose is being broken down by the enzyme called as lactase. So that lactase is going to give the product from the lactose as glucose and galactose. So the next is nucleotides. So that nucleotides are being broken down by the enzymes called as nucleotidases. So that nucleotidases, it is going to give the product as nucleosides. Still these nucleosides are not simple and absorbable. Okay, so these nucleosides are again being broken down as nucleosidases. So this nucleosidases is going to give the end product as sugars and bases. What are these bases? The bases are nitrogen bases. Okay, what are those nitrogen bases? The nitrogen bases are adenine, guanine, thymine and cytosine, which where they are being helpful for construction of the cell and inside the cell the genetic material. Okay, and then the last step of the digestion, chemical digestion, is di and monoglycerides. The di and monoglycerides are the end products which are formed in the duodenum after the breakdown of the fats. So here di and monoglycerides are being broken down with the help of the Seccus entericus enzyme, that is called as lipases, which forms the end product as fatty acids and the glycerol. So here the end products, that is inside the jejunum and the ileum, or the end products are being formed after the breakdown of dipeptides, disaccharides, nucleotides, nucleosides and di and monoglycerides. So those end products are simple also and they are absorbable also. So these are the 10 steps of chemical digestion which are observed in our small intestine. So for the chemical digestion of the food, the enzymes what are helping is, so though some in the duodenum the enzymes of a pancreas are helping, in the jejunum and ileum the enzymes from intestinal mucosa and even from the goblet cell are going to help. Okay, so after the breakdown of the food completely as simple and absorbable, still some food molecules remain as undigested and unabsorbed. So such undigested and unabsorbed food will be sent from the last part of the intestine, from that is from ileum to the next, that is the large intestine. So in the large intestine some important activities are going to take place. So the undigested unabsorbed food which is being sent to the large intestine, from that undigested and unabsorbed food, here the large intestine is going to absorb the water, minerals and certain drugs, and even this large intestine is going to secrete the mucus. Why it is going to secrete the mucus? To help in mucus means it is help, it will be having the sticky nature. So that sticky nature of the mucus helps in the adhesion of all the undigested and unabsorbed food all together. When it is going, when all the undigested unabsorbed food are adhering it all together, it is going to help for easy passing of the food, easy passing of undigested and unabsorbed the food substances. So the large intestine is going to help in the absorption of water, minerals and the drugs, and even helps in the secretion of the mucus, where the mucus is going to help in adhesion of all the undigested and all the unabsorbed food substances, and even it is going to help in the easy passing of that undigested and unabsorbed food, because undigested and unabsorbed food has to move across the cecum, colon, and then it should get deposited inside the last part of the large intestine, that is called as the rectum. So here the rectum, what it is going to receive, the undigested unabsorbed substances. So that undigested unabsorbed food substances is called as the feces. Once the feces enters from the small intestine to the large intestines, what is the last part of the small intestine? That is the ileum. What is the first part of the large intestine? That is the cecum. So once the undigested unabsorbed food enters from the ileum to the cecum, so that undigested unabsorbed food cannot come back to the ileum again. Why it cannot come? Because if it, the undigested unabsorbed food called as the feces, if it once enters the cecum, from the cecum if it is flowing back again to the ileum, that we call it as the backflow. Okay, so this backflow of the feces from the large intestine to the small intestine is being controlled by the valve, the sphincter called as ileocecal valve, or it is also called as the ileocecal sphincter. Okay, so all this undigested unabsorbed food is going to get stored inside the rectum temporarily. Why I am going to use the word as temporarily? Because after every 24 hours, after every day, we call it it is the natural calls. So whatever the food is we are going to take, in that food undigested unabsorbed food will be coming, and that will be getting stored inside the rectum only for temporary, because we are going to defecate it, we are going to eliminate it from the rectum through the anus. So that process of ejecting the unabsorbed undigested food, we call it as defecation. So how this defecation is going to take place inside our body, that we are going to study it in the next class. Thank you, students.